That's a pretty scarf you have on. That's
Thank
a little
you.
Christmassy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's got we match.
Yeah,
you
Christmassy.
Do. I'm the one that's. I've got more fall colors, but
get with it.
Hey,
get with it.
And we have the supreme pleasure here of being with one of our favorites right here. We're here with Susie Glover. And Susie, so we have a few questions. Not only is our honor to be with you today, because you're a longtime fan and volunteer,
right,
and even a board member, and you
employee.
A former employee of A Touch of Understanding. How did you ever get hooked up with ATOU?
Well, I retired from the Postal Service in 2004, and I started my own little business, kind of public relations, because that's what I did in the post office. And I got involved with the Rotary Club of Granite Bay, and through them and Mike Wilson, we were doing an event, crab feed with A Touch of Understanding, and so that's how I really got involved with them.
Oh, that's great. And so what were some, I know you've got some, because you've been involved for many, many years, you probably have something that's a little different that you could share, something a little on the funny side that you could open up with a little bit?
Well, we just being together, our group, anytime anything hits us funny. One time Leslie opened up the program and we had a few challenges that day because the teachers wanted us one place and the principal wanted us another place. We actually had to move everything. And when we finally got set up and Leslie started to introduce herself, and she said, "Hello, my name is Paul." And we just all came unglued.
What did the kids do? They probably
didn't know.
They didn't know. Oh, could be Paul.
Could be, sure.
Paul.
So, if you were going to encourage somebody to want to volunteer, what would be one of the activities you think is some of the most meaningful as a volunteer?
Probably Autism Station.
Okay.
And
that's part of the workshop.
Right. And that wasn't even there when I started.
Okay.
We developed that a lot later because I couldn't even spell autism when we started hearing about it. But it seemed like every school we went to had one student with autism. And how do you present that to a child or an adult even? And that was a big challenge, but we worked on it for almost a year, and I think that we have a phenomenal program now. One that really caught me was the white canes.
Okay.
And the first time I did it, I was just blown away because Dwight's brother, who's my cousin as well, is blind. And growing up together, he used a white cane, and I never even thought about it until I had one of those canes in my hand and blindfolded, and I realized, this was his life. But he did everything we did, and I always talked to the kids about him because he loved roller coasters. and the scarier, the higher, right?
That sensation.
Right. And then I explained to them that he also worked. He graduated from college and he worked in his job. He owns a restaurant in Sacramento at the top of the courthouse, and I always asked him what they thought he did there. And of course, they thought all the different things. They always would say he's a cook, and I said, no, he's a terrible cook. But he always is a cashier there, and they didn't understand how he did it, and I always explained it to them, and they were just amazed.
Yep.
Now, of course, with technology, which I used eventually too, because I loved the cell phone. So.
Right. Now, you've done the dark meal yourself.
Yes.
You want to share a little bit about that experience?
It's just unbelievable. I personally, it really bothered me because I had concentrated so much on it that I didn't really know what was going on around me.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to make any, at first I thought I didn't want to make any mistakes.
Right. And explain the dark meal. So you're going into this blindfolded.
Right. Well, we start out usually with the white canes, and it's outside of the building. So when you walk into the building, you really don't know where you are, where you're sitting. You don't know the layout of the building. And so you find your table, you sit down, and you wait for instructions. And people usually serve you. and you just literally have your meal in the dark. And it's different experience because I don't think most people talk as much to each other when they're blindfolded. And
but you're being guided through that with Darlene,
which I might say is the most amazing person I've ever known in my life.
I'm sure she would appreciate that. That'd be great. Well, let me ask you, have you ever heard any of Nolan's jokes?
Oh gosh, yes.
I don't know if that means that's good or what.
I always feel so dense afterwards.
Well, you know he's going to tell one here.
Oh, good.
What do you get when you mix a elephant and a rhino?
Elefino.
Heard that one before.
Yeah, I think she has heard that. So you have one for Nolan? Because not everybody has one for Nolan.
You know, I can't remember them. That's my problem.